Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday, January the 17th. We have a 4-game NBA slate starting at 7:30 today. We're looking at the Draftkings and Fanduel picks. Let's get into it. It was a pretty exciting night for the Cowboys fan last night against Tom Brady, absolutely destroying them. Dak Prescott playing his best game of the season, I'd say. And they're going on. The NFC East is representing. 3 of the last 4 teams are from the NFC East. We'll see what happens next week. Should be an exciting couple of games nonetheless. Today, let's go ahead and get into the basketball slate. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it with the like button. Subscribe if you have not already. You can check out Twitter, especially if you're into betting and for updates. Had a great night betting some first touchdowns and just overall touchdowns last night. And let's go ahead and get into it. So, starting off with the point guard picks. First up is James Harden is the most expensive guy at $10,000. He's going up against the Clippers. He didn't play last game against the Jazz. He was questionable heading into last game against the Lakers, but he ended up playing. Played well once again. He's been great. Double-digit assist in how many games in a row? Make that 6 games in a row with at least 11 assists, and scoring has gone up as well. I think he looks like a pretty good option if you wanted to take him today. Probably might look a little better than Kyrie Irving, just the way that he's been playing. Irving without Durant has been kind of disappointing the first 2 games. He just hasn't really been able to shoot well. Maybe defenses can kind of focus on stopping Kyrie Irving instead of trying to stop both Durant and Irving. But the price tag has gone up. Still think he's a decent play, but I might lean Harden instead. And then you have Dame Dollar, who's been playing great. He's really started to become more aggressive, getting to the free throw line 16, 10, 15 times the last 3 games, and of course, he makes them all. Assists are there, rebounds, handful a game. He looks fine against Denver. It's a team that he's done very well against in his career. 3 meetings against them this year, he's averaging 61 fantasy points. Another guy that I like in the value range is Jamal Murray. He's going up against the Blazers on the other side. He's done well against them as well. Overall, he's been pretty good this season. Been pretty steady as of late. The assists and rebounds have been a welcome sight, averaging almost 9.5 of those combined a game. The scoring, he plays big minutes in close games, 38, 39 last couple. He's probable, but expect him to suit up. One guy that's really been playing well has been Trey Jones recently because of Devin Vassell being out for a bit. He's not going to be back until after the All-Star break. He got 35 minutes last game after typically playing like 30 or 32. He's been steady with the assists, the scoring. He shoots pretty well, efficient. He can give you some rebounds. The matchup is fine against Brooklyn. They're at home where he's done better this year, averaging 3.5 more fantasy points at home. I'm starting with him at the point guard spot. Other picks that you can look to would be Trey Mann. Some of the Clippers are banged up. He's been seeing heavy minutes, especially if Paul George continues to miss today. And then you have Josh Richardson. You can plug him in at the shooting guard position. Without Vassell, he's seeing almost starter-level minutes off the bench at times, in close games at least, 30 minutes last game in games that he's playing well in. Sometimes he'll get in the mid to high 20s, but he's been very good for them, just being a veteran presence. They are super young in many spots, and he's been around for a while with the Heat and for some years with the Sixers. The matchup against the Brooklyn Nets, I'm expecting it to be high-scoring. The Spurs play no defense, the Nets missing Durant. It's going to be a little bit easier for teams to keep it closer against them. So, going Richardson, that price tag is just really good to pass up on. Other picks at shooting guard you can look to would be like Joe Harris as a value. He's pretty streaky, but the price tag is there. Looking up a little bit more, you have DeAnthony Melton. He's been starting. He started last game, and Doc said he'll probably start going forward, bringing Maxey off the bench. And then you can look to maybe like Gary Trent or Simons. Over at small forward, you're looking at, you have pay up would be Kawhi, but we have to wait and see if Paul George is back. If he is, and I really don't want to pay that much for Kawhi, over 10K. The mid-range isn't that appealing. Johnson's been a little disappointing. I'd rather get some of these cheaper Spurs. You have Tobias at 61, looks fine. 5K range with Porter Jr. looks good. Like TJ Warren a little bit. And then he could go down to like a Joe Harris if he needed to. He's cheap. Skip that position for right now. Going over to power forward. So Giannis, he was probable heading into yesterday's game, and then he ended up missing. Maybe they wanted him to play today against the Raptors. We'll see. Unless something happened once again with his knee injury. I think he'll play today, but we'll see. Value-wise, you have Ben Simmons at 59. He was going to be a nice play probably last game, but then he ended up missing with a back injury. Now it's probably even a better spot to capitalize on a great matchup against the Spurs. He had a good one last game that he missed, which was against the Thunder. This one he should be able to get to the rim. They're terrible in terms of stopping teams from scoring, giving up 122 points per game. Simmons should be able to get some rebounds against the team. They force some turnover, or they turn the ball over a good amount. Simmons likes to get like a steal, or he can get some blocks. He's a good defensive player. I can give him that. And hopefully if he gets to the free throw line, he'll actually make some free throws. It's pretty crazy, the stat. He's 1 for 13 in his last 13 free throws. He's made one of out of his last 13, which is pretty hard to do. So that's super impressive. But I still think he can rack up the assists and give you some rebounds and maybe even flirt with the triple-double. Over at center, your pay-up is Jokic and Embiid and Giannis, I guess. But Jokic going up against the Blazers. He's at home. He had the nice game winner last game. He's done awesome at home this year, averaging almost 10 more fantasy points. And he's going up against Nurkic, and we know the history with those two guys being drafted in the same draft, with Jokic being drafted after Nurkic and them playing on the same team for a bit. So I like Jokic. Probably give you a triple-double tonight or give you very close to one. So those are 4 picks. And then for a final piece, I definitely can look to some of these Brooklyn Nets, just with missing Durant, and some of the pricing is pretty good. Like Royce O'Neal has been very productive for them. He plays big minutes, chips in all categories, can give you a double-double, even almost had a triple-double last game. I think he looks like a good option. He's only guard eligible, which kind of sucks, but for right now, I think he looks like a pretty good play. And that's about it for DraftKings. Let's talk about FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel point guard picks, your top end once again is James Harden. He's 10.5. Looks fine. Irving looks a little bit better with the pricing. Holiday looks good at 79 if somehow Giannis gets ruled out once again. And then Trey Jones is a little bit closer price to some of these other guys. But I like Jamal Murray. I'm going to start with him at $7,400. I think he's going to have a good game. He's done well against Portland, especially in the games that he's played over 30 minutes in. And we saw him in close games recently, play 38-39. Expected to be a close one against Portland. And then you could maybe look to Reggie Jackson, just with not having John Wall, and we know Kennard is out, and maybe Paul George will continue to be out. Over at shooting guard, it's a kind of a difficult position, I'd say, if you're not looking to pay up for anybody. You have Gary Trent at 67, and then you have like Josh Richardson at 58, but his price tag has come up. You have Trey Mann, who's been playing big minutes for the Clippers. You'll probably assume that he'll still get those minutes because we don't know about Paul George's status right now. Right now, I'm going to plug him in because if you're going to give me like 40 minutes almost out of Reggie Jack or Trey Mann, he's a guy that will give you rebounds. He's not the most high volume shooter, but he can be efficient and he can give you some defensive stats. So I like him. And then you could look to Joe Harris just with him being so cheap. Small forward, Giannis' price tag is nice, but you probably have Kawhi. If George is out, he looks great at 94. And then you have Keldon Johnson, looks a lot better on FanDuel at 66. You have Gary Trent at 67. And then you keep going down. You have like Royce O'Neal at 59, which I do like. And then sub 5K, you have TJ Warren, who he's going to get those more minutes off the bench. He chances to close games if he's playing well, and Simmons is struggling, or Joe Harris is struggling, or somebody like that. So he looks good there. But I might just right now lean to pay up for O'Neal, who we know is going to get like 35 minutes a night, and he's been good recently, and he on FanDuel giving you upside in all categories is nice. And over at power forward, you have Ben Simmons at almost 7K, but I still think he looks like a strong option today. Looking other options, Portis, if Giannis gets ruled out, you have the other Porter, Michael Porter, there at $6,100. He looks good. And then if you're looking for below $4,500, you have potentially Covington at that price tag. I'm looking at Simmons, though. I think he's going to have a good game today going up against the Spurs. It's one of the best matchups for a guy like him, where he can probably just get to the rim whenever he wants, give you rebounds, dish out some assists because he'll score a ton and have the ball in his hands a lot. And then at center, you have Embiid and Jokic as your top two pay-ups. I think they're both in great matchups. Embiid has crushed the Clippers, but I got to go with Jokic here. Cheaper than Embiid by only $100, but he's been great at home. Should be a good game against Portland now that they're playing a little better with Lillard balling out. And Jokic's been great all season, so expecting him to have another great game tonight. And that is about it. So sure there'll be some updates once we get some more news on the Clippers side and potentially definitely the Bucks side we're waiting on. But that's the first look for today. Thank you for watching. Best of luck, and I will catch you all next time.